Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show you an advanced topic which is basically controlling mouse or keyboard from MATLAB code. Basically, if you want to perform like, for example, pressing and releasing a keyboard key or pressing and releasing a right or left or middle mouse key or something like that, or take a snapshot from the window directly from MATLAB without using any mouse or keyboard. Is there a way to do that? The answer is yes. And this is done using this Java library AWT. And if you look at the explanation of that, this is a class, this Java AWT.robot, which is used to generate native system input events for the purpose of test automation, self-running demos, and other applications. Where control of the mouse and keyboard is needed, it has three main functionalities: mouse control, keyboard control, and screen capture. So I want to show you how to perform those tasks in MATLAB. So what you need to do is you need to import the Java AWT robot, and you also need AWT.event, and this event is for the mouse control. Okay, as we'll see down here when we go for the event, okay, we need that. And then you define this robot here. Okay, so let me run this portion for you. So this robot is a class robot that it has a bunch of methods, and we can use these methods to perform different tasks. So here you say, hey, robot equals java.awt.robot, and now you're getting that robot to perform some tasks for you. For instance, like what? Let's take a look and let's see some new functionalities. For instance, one of the things you can do is let's say right now I want to know where my mouse is, okay, my cursor is. So here you see my cursor is kind of in the middle of the screen. I can get that number and say, hey, get me the pointer location, right? And you see it shows it at 659 and 305, okay? And it has fractions, okay? So this get location thing is not going to give you integer numbers. Now, let's say you want to set it to a specific place. One of the commands you can do is set. You say, hey, set pointer location to 600 and 300. What does it do? It puts your cursor right at 600 and 300 regardless of where it is. And these two numbers are measured from the top left corner. Okay, so here, look, I highlight this line of code so I can run it with F9. And I put my cursor up here. So when I say 600 and 300, look what happens to it. Did you see? It jumped from here to here, where it's 600 and 300. That's one of the things. The other thing is, so this is not mouse control, this is cursor control I'm doing right now. I'll next show you the mouse control. But this cursor control things could be useful for you. The other thing is, now this one is using the robot thing. So say robot.mouseMove. This is one of the methods of the class robot. And you say, hey, move it for me 600 and 300 in the X and Y directions from the current location. Last time, this location is with respect to the top left corner. This is from the current location. So wherever you are, move it 600 and 300. So look here. If I put it here, right, and I say 600 and 300, you see? Now, if I move my mouse, it moved to this side, or if I do it again, right, let's bring it here maybe, and do it, okay, then you see it's moved with respect to the current location. Now, let me show you some interesting thing about the mouse. So let's say you want to perform a right mouse click from MATLAB code. So you say, hey, robot, mouse press input event dot button 3 underscore mask. Button 3 is for right click. Middle button is the button 2, and button 1 is for left click. So you say, hey, press it, and then in the next one you say what? Release it. So look here, when I run these two lines of code, look what happens. and I have my hands off of the mouse at the moment. Look, you see? It's the right click. It's exactly like what I did a right click. I can do that right click using running these 2 lines of code. Look, here we go. Or let's say, for instance, you want to here right click, and then you want to move your mouse off a little bit to the left, and then left click, so you want to close the right click, right? You want to close this contextual menu. So you right click, and then what? Here I get where the cursor is, and then I move it a little bit to the left, 50 pixels to the left. Then I do a pause, so the right click window, the contextual menu, stays for 2 seconds. Then I press the left click, and you see I'm using button 1. First I press it, then release it. Okay, so what these several lines together will do, these 7 lines, is equivalent to a right click, then move your mouse to the left, and then what? A left click. This is all of these guys are doing together. So here, look, F9, and again my mouse is my hand is off the mouse. You see, clicked, move to the left, and boom, left click, it's gone. Or let's say I want to do a middle mouse, right? You see when I middle mouse click, you see this basically pan command, right? So look here, if I want to do middle mouse, I can just use button 2. Look here, so I select, highlight these, and then look, F9. There we go. Did you see that? Let's do it again. Right here, look, middle mouse. Here, right? So you see, that's middle mouse click. Now let's say this was getting the location, moving to somewhere, moving the cursor, right? So it's mouse and cursor, and then clicking the buttons of the mouse. Now, if you want to take a snapshot, how would you do that? Because remember, one of the capabilities is screen capture. So I showed you mouse control. Let's talk about the screen capture. So if you want to do screen capture here, first you define a window that you want to, from which you want to take a snapshot. So the first 2 numbers are the basically the top and left and top locations, and then the width and the height of the window. So you provide these 4 numbers, and then using this java.awt, using the method rectangle, you define a rectangle, and then pass that rectangle to the method called create screen capture for this class robot, and that will create a capture, right? Now, what is this capture? Is that the image that you can directly show? The answer is no, it's not. Okay, so let me run these 3 lines of code that performs a screen capture, right? If I do that, you see this capture is really a buffered image. Okay, so this capture is a what? Is a buffered image. It has some properties, right? It has some width and height and everything. So it's not really an image. If you want to get the data out of this buffered image, you have to use this method for it called getRGB. So to this getRGB, you pass to it the dimensions of the image you want to take out of it, and for that you use get.width and get.height for this cap look, which basically will get you these 2 numbers, right? So you use this method getRGB, pass the dimensions to it and the type of data that you want. You say here uint8, unsigned integer 8 bits, and use the typecast to do typecasting of the data into uint8, and then this RGB will be what? Will be the amount of bytes that will be taken out of this buffered image, converted into uint8. So this RGB, you might say, yeah, that's my image, but the fact is it is your image but not properly formatted. So if I click on this RGB, it's like a vectorized format of the image. Well, all of the data of all pixels and all 3 channels are put into a line vector. So here I create this new variable image data, and I give it proper format, the image height, the image width, and 3 channels uint8, And then I use the values in that RGB, and I use the reshape command to form channels 1, 2, and 3, red, green, and blue. So this image data variable, this guy, if you now look at it, that's the proper image. 1000 by 1800 by 3. Now this is what you can show. And look, if I do that, that should show the background thing that I captured. So here we go. You see, that's exactly our screen when we were working with it. So I could capture my screen. Okay, so this is capturing the screen. Finally, if I want to know about pressing a key from the keyboard or releasing that, right? So what do I do? It's very similar. So use the command robot.keyPress or robot.keyRelease, which we had earlier, but it was mouse press and mouse release. This time it's what? Key press and key release. And to that, you need the Java awt.event .key event dot, and here you say which key. So here I'm saying, hey, press down the what? Which key? The shift key. Then what? Press letter M, then release letter M, then release shift. Why do I do that? Because I want a capital shift instead of a small capital M instead of a small m, right? You know, if you hold down shift and press on a letter, it's going to be capital. So this is going to be capital M, but if I want, for example, a small a, then I simply what? Key press A and then key release A, and that's all I need to do. That will just write for me a small letter A. So let's go ahead and run these 4 lines of code. All these 4 lines do is to type in capital M. And let's do F9. Look. Did you see? It was just typing M. Now look at these 2 lines. Look. It should be equivalent to typing small a. There we go. You see? Small a. Right? And if I run all of it, it should be capital M and small a. There we go. Okay, so you can press any key on the keyboard as long as you put the correct name of that key over here. With the press and with the release, you should be able to basically perform that operation directly from MATLAB Code. And you might notice, hey, do I need that the space between key press, key release, and the parentheses? No, really. I mean, if you do it, it's not going to pick on you. But just like this mouse release and mouse press, that there was no space between the end of the command and the parentheses, here you can get rid of that too. So it's not going to really do anything. So hopefully this was useful to you, how to press and release a key from the mouse, from the keyboard, how to capture a screen and do it all, or get the location or move the cursor from directly MATLAB commands using this Java class AWT robot. So hopefully the video was useful to you, and you might be using that in many tasks that you want MATLAB to perform anything and you don't want any user to be included and press anything from the computer or mouse for you. So thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you in the next lecture.